Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. First, a quick word from our sponsor. The Sunday Book Review for April 9, 2023, Easter Sunday, the Books on Crime and History edition. These come to us from the article 5 Nonfiction Books that mix true crime and history. And the first one is Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. This book tackles two subjects, the 1893 Chicago World's Fair and the serial killer known as H.H. Holmes, who was operating in the city at the time. Next up, Furious Hours, Murder, Fraud, and the Last Trial of Harper Lee. You'll love this book about Harper Lee. She helped Truman Capote in his book, To Kill a Mockingbird, but this is about a project that absorbed much of her life, the story of Reverend Willie Maxwell, a preacher accused of murdering 5 members of his family for insurance money, who was then found shot dead. Next up, The Suspicious Mr. Witcher, or Murder at Road Hill House by Kate Summerscale. Who is the real Sherlock Holmes? Well, you can see some of the seeds of Holmes in Jack Witcher, a London police officer who became famous in Victorian England for his ability to apprehend everyone from pickpockets to diamond thieves. He was a shining light of the then new Scotland Yard. Next up, American Sherlock, Murder, Forensics, and the Birth of American CSI by Kate Winkler Dawson. This book looks at August Vollmer and his detectives who built the first lie detector, but that wasn't their only innovation. Vollmer also was instrumental in popularizing the use of forensics, which have much more lasting legacy. The book focuses on the first primitive crime lab and how it was developed and used, including fingerprinting, ballistics, as well as handwriting analysis. And our final book is Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI. This explores a series of suspicious deaths among the Osage people of Oklahoma. Their story was largely forgotten until this book, which opens with the murder of an Osage woman and tracks the investigation into the deaths by the newly formed FBI. It allows, or rather talks about how Agent Tom White traveled to Oklahoma and unraveled the secret plot behind the killing. I hope you will enjoy one or more of these true crime books, and I hope you will rate, subscribe, and review the Sunday Book Review. Additionally, I've started a new podcast featuring authors of some of the books I talk about on the Sunday Book Review. It's called the Sunday Book Review Writers Podcast. So check that out. My next couple of episodes, I'll have John May, who will talk about his book on trial lawyering and, more importantly, how it relates to compliance professionals and corporate compliance programs. I would like to tell you about the latest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network. It's Two Gurus Talk Compliance, where, with my friend and colleague Christy Grant Hart, we take a look at some of the top compliance commentary around. It's a long-form, up to 1 hour podcast, but if you're interested in compliance, if you're interested in Christy Grant Hart and myself talking about compliance, this would be a great podcast for you to check in on. It premiered on March 10th on the Compliance Podcast Network. I know you'll enjoy this latest offering. Additionally, we have Data-Driven Compliance, which is a podcast where I look at the use of data in compliance programs. This is perhaps the most cutting-edge podcast I have going right now. And if you're interested in how data can be used, how to structure a data analytics program, what tools are available out there for you, and how compliance practitioners are using data, this is certainly the podcast for you. So check out Data-Driven Compliance, all on the Compliance Podcast Network. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.